Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 186 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on November 7th, 2023. How are all you wonderful folks doing on this fine fall day? Yeah, we have a lot to cover today, actually. I hope you're doing well. It's busy, but that's good, okay? We have so much on the plate. We have a really great technical question from a Pew Science Pro member. We're going to hit the technical discussion about the Combat Application Technologies white bread, the CAT WB on the Mark 18 and the 14.5 M4. And we have a pretty neat announcement today, actually. The podcast is now also on YouTube. That's right. So if you are listening on another platform, like iTunes or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, if you like YouTube, it is now there as well. It's even on YouTube Music, so it's cool. We actually resisted that for a long time, but Google and YouTube are sneaky, and they made it really easy. I'll talk about that on today's episode as well. Okay, I think this actually might be a long one. Yeah, this episode, but we're gonna see if we can make it efficient. Okay, so let's get on with the show. The J Situation Podcast is proudly sponsored by Legion Athletics. That's right, because nothing you do, exercise, sports, really anything in your life is worth doing without consistency, right? You have to do it all the time if you want to be good at it, and Legion Athletics can help. They got whey protein, pre-workout, post-workout. They don't have everything you need, but they have a lot of it, okay? Visit legionathletics.com. There's a link in the show notes. And if you're on YouTube, in the video description. That's so weird. Use code word PewScience to save 20% off of your first order. And you keep using that code for double loyalty points every time you go. You'll end up getting a net 10% off everything going forward with points using that code, okay? Get strong. It's important. And the J Situation Podcast is also sponsored by Top Gun Range Houston. That's right. If you're in the Houston area, even if you're just visiting, they're worth checking out. In addition to having a 15-lane indoor range, they have the largest firearm rental fleet in the entire state of Texas. It's crazy. You can rent pistols and rifles and shotguns and machine guns, and now you can even rent silencers. That's important, guys. It's really cool. You can check them out and check out their whole firearm rental inventory on their website at topgunrange.com, and you can find them on Instagram at topgunrange. All right? Please go check them out. This episode of the podcast is also brought to you by High-End Armament Technology. That's right, a dealer of exactly that, high-end arms and accessories. If you're looking for something that's difficult to find, or extremely high-end, Robert and his crew can probably help you. Okay, night vision, thermal optics, machine guns, all kinds of like Knight's Armament stuff, HK stuff, like rare stuff. It's a great place to go. Check them out at High End Arms on Instagram. They have a Facebook page, which is High End Arms, and highendarms.com. Okay, I hope they can help you folks out. If you need it, tell them Jay sent you. Okay, this episode is also sponsored by Silencer Shop. That's right. You can use their kiosk to do your fingerprints and photos electronically. And in turn, you cut down on errors. You simplify your silencer purchasing process. You get a money-back guarantee. It's pretty good. No transfer fees, no paperwork errors, just you and your silencer with no drama. It truly is silencer ownership simplified. And finally, last but not least, and actually the most important sponsor of all, now and forever, this podcast is brought to you by the Pew Science Laboratory. That's right. I am the technical director of the lab, and in the interest of public education, the lab sponsors this podcast and also runs a public research effort which continues to push the silencer industry forward one test at a time. You can visit pewscience.com for the suppression rating. It is the simplest and the most accurate hearing safe rating for your suppressed small arms. It's based on true human inner ear response of the entire gunshot from before combustion takes place all the way until all the combustion is gone. That's right. Pew Science is the home of the silencer sound standard. There are 7 sections. It's the most in-depth and accurate silencer data and analysis in the entire world. It's all available to the public. Check it out on pewscience.com. Okay, and you can support this podcast. You can support Pew Science. You can support all the public testing we do by joining with a membership at pewscience.com. And there's a donate feature on the review page, on the podcast page. Every little bit helps. If you don't want to join with a membership, donate. It's cool. Or, hey, you're already a member and you want to donate more, you want to help us out more, donate. That is awesome. But you know what? If you can't join because times are tough, I understand. Something that's free and doesn't cost you anything. Please give this podcast a good rating on iTunes or Spotify or whatever you get your podcast. Hey, go on YouTube. Give it the likes and the subscribes. Hit that like button. Subscribe. I don't know what to say. I'm not a YouTube. I don't know what I'm doing. Just give it good marks, if you would be so kind. Just to spread the word and let folks know that silencers and guns are awesome. Maybe you have to hit the notification button on YouTube. I don't know how that works. It's a problem. We get a lot of. I know some people are going to it already. It's crazy. We'll talk about it. 3 topics for you today. First topic. A little bit. We're going to get really technical in the first topic. Gas momentum, flow rate, reflections, and hazards. Do all silencers sound the same? No, they don't. When you change environments, do all silencers have signatures that change the same way? Also, no, they don't. So this topic is actually brought to you by a Pew Science Pro member question, and I thought, why not just discuss it with everyone in the world? Yeah. Topic 2, sound signature review 6129 and 16130. The Cat WB-A1 718 on the 5.56 Mark 18 and the M4A1 mid-gas, respectively. This is going to be the combined technical discussion for those 2 white papers that were published on the 25th of October. So what was that, last week? Week before last. Okay, we'll hit what we're going to do is we're going to hit the technical discussion for Article 6.131, the PTR, next time. See, we're almost getting caught up, aren't we? Oh, you see that? That's crazy, right? We're almost caught up. And finally, topic 3. That's right. The podcast, the J Situation podcast, is also on YouTube now. Yeah, we're also on YouTube Music. Yeah. We have received a lot of requests for this. All episodes are available on the J Situation YouTube channel. That's right. And if this works correctly, which it should, given how we set this up, it will, going forward, all the episodes should be also on YouTube, just like they are on iTunes and Spotify and the website and everything. So it's crazy. We'll talk about that, okay? All right, so topic 1 at a time of 7 minutes and 52 seconds. Okay. Topic 1, gas momentum, flow rate, reflections, and hazards. Yeah. How does that influence hazards? Do all silencers sound the same? I hear this a lot. People new to silencers, or people who have like one silencer, or people who just like to cause trouble on the internet talking about things they don't understand. They say, do all silencers sound the same? They say, yeah, of course. No, they don't. That's crazy. And then for that matter, when you shoot a silencer in a different environment, do all silencers just all of a sudden change the exact same way? Well, no. They don't. So a Pew Science Pro member brought this up. Pro members get first dibs on responses from me and get a lot of my time. Time is not infinite, right? So, in your life, in our life, it's not. So pro members get priority. So I thought this was just such a good discussion point, and it is so deep, and it goes to so many levels. So I was like, you know what, I got to talk about this on the podcast. So I chose to talk about this before we get into the CAT technical talk, next topic. So I'm going to bring this up. So this pro member, because it's actually somewhat related. So this pro member, he's been I looked him up in the database. He's actually been a member since 2001. He asked me about the omega metric and potential correlation between that research parameter and certain wave parameters and certain signature parameters. And in our discussion, he made a rough postulation that potentially the omega metric could influence the way certain silencers behave in different environments. Okay? This guy, he and I don't talk a lot, but every once in a while we'll talk. And I really appreciated this discussion. I told him, I told him this is a really good thought to hold on to the thought, and I think it's worth thinking about this. It is definitely possible that the omega metric may correlate with a phenomenon we have not yet publicly presented to you. Okay? Remember, and you should remember this, all you Pew Science members and longtime listeners of the podcast, you will recall that the omega metric, which is a research parameter, is a measure of the rate of impulse accumulation exterior of the system. Okay? It is the rate at which gas momentum accumulates from the distal end of the silencer. Okay? This rate is dependent upon a couple of factors. Well, a few factors. And mathematically, it's dependent upon certain wave shape attributes of the pressure pulse. Okay? The pressure pulse coming out of the silencer. Now, the omega metric doesn't capture everything, right? It's a two-dimensional quantity, right? It's mapping gas momentum in the time domain. Fair? Okay. Now, there are some experiments one could do to isolate how the metric would correlate, for example, with certain wave shapes. Okay, stay with me. You could do this mathematically. The metric is simple. It's a linear slope, right? You could, if you were so inclined, you could go bilinear. You could even go trilinear if you like, or even you could go quadlinear. In other words, you could break up the mapping into segments. Yeah, you could go ham mathematically, and you could study these parameters if you like. But there's another thing you could do. Excuse me. You can also study wave reflection at different standoffs and different angles of incidence and across silencer designs. And then after you study that, you could then correlate those factors to omega, or you could correlate them to a bilinear mapping of omega or whatever simplified parameter you have. Omega metric, bilinear omega, trilinear omega, whatever you like. It's just a mapping. It's just you can do the math all day. It's just math after in correlation with experimental results or empirical data. So the end result of whatever you decide to do, or whatever we decide to do, whatever anyone decides to do with this is public, this is open source. Whatever you decide to do with this, the end result could be very interesting. That imagine if the simplified omega metric could predict reflection factor. Imagine, or rather, it could predict the end result or the mapping of a reflection factor. For example, like it's not going to be able to predict frequency or phase shift, right? But it could potentially influence reflection factor over time. And the reason I say that, and if you're a combustion physicist or a blast engineer, you're listening to this and you're realizing that this is more complex, right? Because typically reflection factors in the classical sense are computed for simple wave shapes, okay, with different rise times. It's actually fairly complex when you get away from shocks, right? So, and I'm talking to the physicists right now. Sorry, guys. Sometimes I can't talk to everybody. So, talking to the physicists, you guys know this, right? The reflection factors, oftentimes, we're looking at shocks, right? So, the thing, I mean, once you start to move away from that and you start to alter your rise time, it's kind of gets a little interesting with the reflection factor, or should I say the net reflection factor of the load. And so, when you look at a suppressed small arm, it's producing a wave shape that's much more complex. It's actually much more complex than a typical blast load, and it's way more complex than actually an unsuppressed gunshot is, frankly. And this is actually one of the primary reasons why the suppression rating is needed. Because nothing else you see that people are using works correctly. And it's because of phenomena like this that people aren't, it's not that they don't, well, it's that they don't know, because it's not what they do. So they don't know what they're doing. It's not only the people in the gun industry, it's everyone they're using. They don't know what they're doing. So it's fine. It's just not their field. So, but they're learning from Pew Science. So Pew Science is showing it. Anyway, so the point is the reflection factor gradients are going to be highly complex. Okay, and I'll say that there may be a way to simplify them, to simplify that gradient. And bottom line is there's a way to do it like the suppression rating, which means like super simple, which is like the whole point of doing this is to disseminate it to the public so the public can use it, right? You can do all the math in the world, but if you can't give the public like a simple metric, it doesn't work. Okay, that's why everyone was like giving peak dB for like 30 years and it didn't do anything. It didn't work, right? Because it's not the correct metric to use. And, you took a fraction of something and then you try to like boil it down and it didn't work. Because you try to boil something super complicated down to something, but you didn't like actually do anything. You just like gave up a fraction of it. Right? But so the suppression rating is more of an analytical result. Understand? So when we talk about reflection of silencers or reflection of silencer signatures and the result of those on hazards and mapping that and using existing data to do it, you need to think through this process, just like this pro member was doing. So be thinking about this, okay? This is going to get complex. It's going to get complex mathematically, but the end result, the pay dirt could ramp up the data utility pretty high or further. And so what if, I posit to you, what if the answer to what is most hazardous indoors is just a function of omega and the suppression rating? What if it's just a function of those two parameters? You know what I mean? Like, what if there's a parametric factor you could derive from the two with some constants, and then flush out some correlation with some real tests to prove it in certain environments? What if you just did that? That'd be wild, right? It'd be wild. Again, it's highly complex. You have to do the instrumented test. You have to map the suppression rating in those environments, and then you have to do sensitivity studies. Sure, fine, whatever. But it's a research fork that can be done. It's highly complex, but it's not impossible. You understand? So I want you to hold on to those thoughts. Okay, this is not meant to be a super, excuse me. It's not meant to be a super long topic on this, but this was a very important thought progression brought up to me from a simple question, not a simple question, but a simple discussion with a pro member of Pew Science. And he's thinking this, he thought about this independently, and he asked me about it. And I wanted to give more in-depth, thoughtful discussion to it. That I didn't want to type it. I want to talk about it with him and all of you all at once here now. Okay, just give it all to you, the thought progression, and let that marinate. So hold on to that. Think about it. So you talk about Sig Sauer, Huxworks, OSS, Liberty Precision Machine, CGS, CAT, Surefire. These companies, what are they all doing? They're altering flow rates to achieve one goal. But are they turning some knobs without knowing those knobs are connected to other things? Or are they content to change 2 to 3 things when they turn that one knob? And maybe they say, oh, it's too bad, so sad. You know, I heard a very famous person in the silencer industry once said that you could create an OSS silencer simply by making bigger holes in the end of a silencer. of a conventional silencer. There's a very, very, very famous person in the silencer industry said that. That statement, of course, is incredibly technically incorrect and false, technically false. However, with regard to the end result in some situations, what if it's not as wrong as you think? And that type of nuance is one of the most important things to understand in the silencer, in the suppressed small arms state of practice, I think. And so it's going to get very interesting, okay? And so right now, let's talk about that cat stuff, okay? Let's move into topic 2 at a time of 20 minutes and 50 seconds. Man, we're getting big brain, guys. That pro member, I feel like I want to send him a t-shirt or something if I had any. Topic 2, sound signature review 6129 and 6130. The CAT WB-A1 718 on the 5.56 Mark 18 and the M4A1 mid-gas. Okay, that's the 14.5 M4A1 mid-gas. Those are 2 articles, 2 tests. Okay, so this is the combined technical discussion for those 2 white papers that we published on the 25th of October. And so next time we're gonna hit the PTR talk next time. Okay, we don't have time to PTR today. Okay, so what I'll do before I forget, let me go to the web browser here. I'm gonna pull up sound signature review 6129. I'm pulling up, that's on pewscience.com for all you people listening from YouTube, if there are any that haven't listened to this podcast before. What we do on these talks is usually the week or a couple weeks, it just depends, usually a week after a white paper publication on pewscience.com, I will do a technical discussion on the podcast in plain English so that folks can understand what's going on. And it helps some people learn. Some people just like to hear it, whatever. Okay, so I'm pulling up the member review, and those of you who don't know about PewScience, there are member versions of the reviews and extra member data and member articles, and then there are just free versions that everyone can do. So I'm going to pull up the member article of 6129. If you are not a PewScience member and you still want to follow along at home, still want to see kind of what I'm talking about, you can pull up the free version. You're not going to miss anything, okay? Okay, so I just pulled up the full version of 6129. Okay, so the way I'm going to go into this, I'm not going to go like linearly. I'm going to kind of hop around. All right. So just bear with me today. This is an interesting silencer. I'm going to say that right now. It's very interesting. And and if you're listening to this, I really hope you listen to the previous topic. That is the previous topic is probably one of the most technical things I've ever explained to you on the podcast. I think we only spent 10 minutes or so on it, but that topic 1 of this podcast is paramount for your consideration. It's paramount for your consideration, I'll say. And it's highly topical with regard to this topic. Okay. So topic 2, this cat white bread is very interesting. I have it in my hand right now. I'm holding it small. It's on my desk. Set it down. We are very fortunate. We're very fortunate to be able to test something like this and be able to perform analysis of its performance. We are definitely in an interesting time in silencer history right now. There are so many new models coming out, and a lot of new silencers you're seeing, not just rifle silencers, but silencers in general. A lot of them you're seeing have flow characteristics that are much different than what we are used to seeing, and some of them are doing so. Some of them are exhibiting these flow characteristics while at the same time maintaining a significant degree of signature suppression. Okay. In an article a while back, I think it was Research Supplement 6/124, so it wasn't too long ago. I mentioned 3 different primary classes of rifle silencer technology, right? I mentioned conventional, high flow rate, and hybrid designs. Okay? Why is that important? It's important because of the previous topic. I told you it's important. That topic is very important. The CAT surge bypass technology is a hybrid design. The thing about physics is that you can't break it, you can't fudge it, you can't get something for nothing. There is no free lunch. So as humans, when we want to do something, we have to operate within the limits set forth by the way physical laws hold. Those are the rules. Like it or not, you're not unique in this. You're not a magic person. So what the surge bypass technology does, from what we see in the data, is what it does is it minimizes alpha. So and what that means is it's minimizing the early time impulse accumulation environment due to shock right on top of the gas phase, and at the same time it's throttling momentum out of the distal end, and it does it in stages. Okay, that's a fancy way of saying it drops alpha without significantly dropping omega. And if you're brand new to this podcast, you haven't. I don't have time to explain all that to you right now, those terms. So you're gonna have to just catch up. Is the surge bypass technology flow through? No, it's not. Flow through is a Huxworks technology. Is the SIG forward flux technology in the SLH silencer we tested, or that is present in the SLX series, is that flow through? No. Flow through is a Huxworks technology. Are there some elements that are common in a surge bypass and a flow through and a forward flux silencer? Yes. There are some commonalities here and there. Is the end result from the silencers similar? No, it is not. If you remember, go back to the CAT ODB articles and to the podcasts. If you need to jog your memory, the surge bypass is what it's doing. It is behaving less restrictive in early time and is using stages to manage the impulse. And then it is exhausting the blast in a uniform way that's almost diffused. Okay? It's the sum of the parts, guys. And any one part, it's not even that wild. You put them all together and you're like, oh, interesting. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. So this is one of the reasons. It's probably the reason. No, it's one of them. This is one of the reasons why it is extremely important to look at the waveforms in these articles. If you only look at the big number at the top of the page, and if you only look at the suppression rating at the muzzle and ear, you're going to miss this. I promise you. If you miss this, that is fine. I'm not your dad. If you don't care what's going on, then it doesn't matter if you miss this or not, because you don't care. But it is not okay to miss this if you are going to start making statements publicly about the way these silencers compare to other silencers. I'm going to say that right now. I have seen incredible things. I have literally seen people compare the CAT ODB to a Huxworks Flow 762 because the suppression rating is similar on the MK18. I literally have seen people do that. If companies out there are only looking at the suppression rating, and consumers too, if you're only looking at the suppression rating and not understanding gas dynamics, innovation will stall. In order for innovation to continue, it is very important for people to understand what's happening. So let's look at it. In Article 6.129, go ahead. You have it open, right? We haven't even talked about it. Scroll down. Forget about the thing. That's right. Open the article, start scrolling. Scroll down until you get to figure 2A and 2B. And scroll down further until you get to the text below those two figures. Above Research Note 1. Okay? It's the paragraphs between figure 2A and 2B and Research Note 1. It's the paragraphs between there. That's almost verbatim from the ODB Mark 18 review. I actually put the same bullet points there. I tweaked them a little bit, and I added differentiation from the ODB to the WB in bold to show you exactly what was changing. I'm very particular in the way I write, purposefully. Regardless of the changes, which are technical, and you can read them in the article. I'm not going to read them to you today. I want you to understand something here. This is the same thing I said when we spoke about the ODB. The CAT surge bypass technologies behave in a gross fashion like the Surefire RC series silencers, in a gross fashion. They control the gas momentum dump like the restrictive silencers do, like an Otter Creek Labs polonium, very restrictive silencer. They control gas momentum like that. And then during first round pop, they manage the gas momentum sort of like a Thunder Bee silencer does, which is, they're kind of famous for that with their quiet ones at least. And when you put them on the reciprocating systems, the surge bypass technology, it really behaves similarly to the Huxworks silencers with regard to weapon kinematics. I mean, this is all based on test data. This is not opinion. This is facts. Okay, this is physics. So those four attributes that are listed there in the article, they're holding, and they're scaling, and they're happening with smaller silencers or more restrictive bore silencers with surge bypass. Okay, is the omega metric shifting? Yes. That is late time. Remember, physics are constrained. Do the four factors hold? Yes, the four factors hold. So now let's go old school, okay? Scroll back to the top. I know I'm taking you all over creation. It's fine. Scroll up. You're a big boy, big girl. Put on your big boy pants, big girl pants. You can read. Let's go old school. Scroll back to the top. Bottom line up front, 35.3 composite suppression rating on the Mark 18, 34.1 at the muzzle, 27.9 at the ear. Okay, now with the context I just gave you, do you understand why these numbers are significant? The silencer is not large. I don't know, it's about like it's more than an inch shorter than the ODB is, guys. And the suppression ratings really aren't that far off on this gun from that. They made the bore smaller on the WB, and they actually took part of the silencer out. They removed part of the surge bypass tech, and they tweaked it a little bit. So the WB, it's actually like, and it says A1. It's the dang first version of this thing, dude. It's like, I think I said this before. The WB, I think I've said this before. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. I'll say it now. It's a fairly utilitarian, dedicated 5.56 silencer, and you can hop around barrel lengths, pretty much be happy with it anywhere. That's what the data's showing. That's what our testing's showing. And we'll get to it in a second. On the Mark 18, the subject here, on the Mark 18, basically what you have with the WB, you have a 5.56 silencer that gives an overall experience that it's sort of a mix. It's a cross between like an SCI 6 RC2 scenario and a Flow 762. And it does all that in like a smaller size. Okay. And then practically you can have it on Inconel or titanium and hub mount or not too. So this is I'm summing this up for you. And then technically what's interesting is that the technology seems to scale. And this is, please listen to this. I know this is a lot, but this is important. The technology seems to scale. So you have internal shock reflection and gas phase propagation paths in the silencer that apparently are not overly sensitive to input combustion curve. Now, so rather predictably, you give this thing high pressure, it does something, yeah? You get an answer. You reduce the input pressure so it's less severe, the output signature gets less severe. Okay, tracking seems reasonable. That's important. Scaling like this, it seems normal to you, right? Everyone listening, you're all tracking with me. It really does seem normal, except that type of scaling can actually not happen sometimes. And for example, we talked about this last episode, Surefire SOCOM 556 RC2. We literally just talked about that last episode technically. Excuse me. Okay. So that was one case where it didn't scale. We talked about that and people freaked out. Then they calmed down when they understood it, whatever. But what else? What else might not scale in all silencers besides that? Is it just muzzle suppression on different rifle barrel lengths that doesn't scale? Is it just the muzzle suppression that might not scale? Or are there other things that may not scale too? What about across cartridges? Remember the Huxworks stuff? Remember what happens when you use subsonic ammo in the rifle silencer? Yeah. Remember the SIG silencer we tested? We just guessed what would happen, and we were right about that one. And just do the Huxworks research. Okay, so what have we seen with surge bypass so far? It's different. Different scaling. You saw that with the ODB, right? And that was important. Why was that important? That's a 30 caliber silencer. So there's all kinds of reasons that's important. Also, was it louder at the muzzle with subsonic 300 blackout than a non-hybrid would be with subsonic 300 blackout, like a non-dedicated hybrid? Or a non-hybrid dedicated conventional design? It could be, sure. Was it severe? Absolutely not. So again, the impulse control, it goes back to the 4 points I listed in the article. Okay, So that's another thing that this is something that you got to think about. So we talk about scaling on barrel length. We talk about scaling across combustion regimes with regard to supersonic and subsonic ammo. What else might not scale with all silencers? It's actually something more complicated that you haven't seen. You haven't yet seen this, but you will. What about the shooter's ear suppression rating going from the Mark 18 to the M4A1? Do you think that all the shooter's ear ratings go up on all the silencers? Or do you think they go down? Or do they stay the same? Did the shooter ear suppression rating go up, down, or stay the same when you change from the Mark 18 to the M4? Do you know? What happens with conventional silencers when you have longer dwell time with a little larger port? Do you get more ejection port blasts? Maybe you do. What about with surge bypass? From what we're seeing, it seems to stay pretty close. Seems to stay pretty close, which is very interesting. There's some variation, but it's not tanking it. It's not tanking it. So So before we move on to the M4 paper, we talked about the MK18 paper right now. Let's talk about another thing that may not scale across silencers. We talked about it earlier, and I'm going to remind you again. You probably, I don't know if you might have already forgot. What is another thing that might not scale across silencers and different technologies? Reflection factor. I'm going to teach you guys blast physics and you don't even know it. You guys are going to learn so much. If you want reasonable weapon function with a silencer, and you also want to be able to go near surfaces and shoot and have the best hazard reduction you can, from overpressure signature reflections, is the solution flow through? Is the solution forward flux? Or is the solution surge bypass? What's the solution? Which of those three would do the best? Like when you're shooting out in the field, then you go shoot next to a building, you go shoot in the hallway with your team. Which technology does the best? Which balances what you need the best? We have a guess, but because we don't have the test data ourselves to give you a definitive statement, I'm not going to give one. I will say, looking at the data we have, the inner ear response analysis we have, the waveform analysis we have, the omega metric, the weapon kinematics, and everything we have, I think we're zoning in on an answer to that question. And I don't know that it's funny. I see people all the time on like social. I saw this guy, and the only reason I saw this on social media is because someone tagged me in it, and I happened to see the tag. Some person, they do those videos where they're talking into the microphone, like it's a video so you can see them talking on Instagram. I forgot who the guy's name was. It escapes me, whoever it was. And he was saying something like, everyone's chasing Huxworks or something. Da, da, da. And I was like, yeah. I was like, I don't think that's true. I was like, I think there's a lot of contracts that people are trying to win because people are getting cancer. So yeah, there's that, and a lot, so, and I think there's a lot of companies doing things that I think some people haven't seen or thought about. Now, I think certain companies market things differently. I think that's true. But I think that before like people go on social media and start like making these statements that like they think, I think they need to be really careful, and I think they really need to look at like the hard data and the research about what we've been studying the past few years. I think they need to really understand like what they're saying, because right now like the research folks are showing that there are different ways to tackle certain problems, and you owe it to yourself to really be thoughtful in your consideration of different technologies and how they're working. I'll say it like that. Okay, I think that's a very diplomatic way to say that. You can read it between the lines how you like. Okay, so for now, let's go ahead. That's enough about this Mark 18, because it's basically like it performed on the Mark 18 like the ODB did. It's a little bit louder than the ODB on the Mark 18, and it's smaller silencer. So it's like, that's all you really need to know about that. Let's go to the next article. Hold on a second. I'm gonna pull up 130. Yeah. Okay, so this is the same one. The same silencer on the M4A1 14.5 mid-length gas AR. So what's the bottom line up front here? What's the bottom line up front when you go to the M4 with this Cat WB? Well, with this this K silencer. Well, 40.6 at the muzzle, 28.7 at the ear, giving a composite suppression rating of 41 flat. I think I'm going to start doing it like that. Say the detail ratings first and then the composite, because you do know that's how the composite is calculated. The composite is only calculated from the two. So again, 40.6 at the muzzle, 28.7 at the ear, 41 flat. composite. Okay, so this is the first time we have published a muzzle suppression rating over 40 on 5.56 in the standard, so that's pretty cool. And this is from a K silencer, so that's very important for you to understand. The ear suppression rating is not too shabby. It's actually a little higher than it was for the same silencer on the Mark 18. An easy way to look at that is to scroll all the way down to figure 5. I know I'm skipping all over the creation. Scroll all the way down to figure 5. It's a bar chart. It's easy to read. In this chart, what do you have? You got the same. What do you got? You got the Cat WB. You got the Surefire RC2 on both its mounts. So we're comp 3-prong. Okay. On both guns. Okay. The Mark 18 and the M4. Okay. So now you can, and remember, this is M4 mid gas. This isn't your daddy's M4 with the carbine link gas system. This is a mid link gas system, and it's still hazardous. That's right. On this chart, in this bar chart, this red and blue bar chart, you can see the interesting scaling or the lack of scaling. Look at it. The Cat WB got quieter at the muzzle by over half a category, dude. That's wild. Okay? The shooter's ear risk got a little safer. A little safer, right? Okay, a little bit. Now, look at the Surefire silencer. Surefire silencer. Muzzle signature barely changed. We've been over that. The shooter got a little safer. Huh. Interesting. Why? Does this seem strange to you? Well, it is a little strange. Let's talk about why. In the case of the Cat WB, the distance away from the muzzle from the shooter, it helped the shooter a little bit. Okay, it just did. It had lower muzzle signature, which is obviously by half a category, and it was further away, helped the shooter a little bit. Cool. Okay. They both helped you, but you're running into some issues here, I think, and this is very important, guys. The issue you're running into is from the M4A1 platform. The ejection port blast, without tuning this gun, is going to be really tough to get rid of, dude. The 14.5 mid is way harder to get rid of the ejection port blast on than the Mark 18. Guys, I'm telling you, you forget. People got lulled into a false sense of security on that Mark 18, and I think it's because the barrel was so short. They're like, oh, the barrel's so short. That's why it's so bad. It's one of the reasons why it's bad, but its dwell time is actually pretty awesome. Mark 18's cool. In that respect, 14.5. That gas port's not small, dude. With the dwell time like that, I'm kind of surprised they have the gas port that big. But hey, it's a rifle for the common man. It's important. That's why I think it's great that we tested it. I think it's great that it's a test house now. It's going to be so tough for people. I can tell you right now, the Cat WB on this platform is doing very well, dude, at the ear. And the RC2 is actually doing really great, too, at the ear. The shooter's ear, all things considered. The RC2 would do way better at the shooter's ear on this gun if it had a higher early time flow rate. And if its technology scaled with muscle combustion. But it doesn't. So here we are. You see why this is hitting? It's like hitting the governor on these for different silencers. You're literally seeing performance limits, guys. This is such an, oh my God, I could not be happier. This is so great. We got the Mark 18. Everyone, and you know what? Not everyone. A lot of people get it. But some people got so upset that we were using the Mark 18. Who's laughing now? We have the most comprehensive Mark 18 analysis in the world. And now we're giving you M4 analysis to compare. This is going to change the industry. Mark my words, dude. I'm telling you, this is going to, if it hasn't already, this is going to change the way you look at silencers, because this chart is one of the most powerful charts in the history of silencers ever. This figure 5 in this review, because it is showing phenomena boiled down with a metric that's correct, that's meaningful. It is amazing. This is a really, really, really good chart. The data is powerful. I am so excited for you guys to see other silencers we've tested on the MK18 that are going to make their way to the M4. Oh my God, dude. It's going to be so interesting to you. And this is non-trivial. It is going to be very interesting going forward. I can't not express to you how great this is going to be. It's really great. So let's kind of wrap this part up. I will say, all in all, this WB, I'm picking it up right now. I have the Inconel version here. It is small. It is pretty light. It comes in 2 different materials, and it comes in 2 different mount configurations. You can get the hub mount like I have here, and there's a built-in mount version, which is like essentially, it's like a little longer than the hub mount, and then it has like their own built-in left-hand threaded thing. It's basically like actually, you know what? I think it threads to like SCI 6 mounts from CGS. I want to say it's that same left-hand pattern they use. I think a lot more people are using that left-hand pattern. So there's that. So you can do that or the hub mount, whatever. So this is that. And then the weight of these things is actually pretty light. So it is, I'd probably call it a K can. Not a micro can, but a K can. And I think the titanium version is like 6.9 or 7 ounces or something dumb like that without a mount. And then the Inconel one that I have here, it's like 12.6 or something like that. It's crazy. Without something like that, without a mount. So I think when I was thinking about that, I think a lot of people are probably going to go Inconel on this. I was like, I bet people will go Inconel because they don't want any sparking. Yeah. Because it's a 5.56 silencer, so they might not want any sparking, and maybe they want to hammer it all day, every day until the cows come home, too. On short barrels, like crazy, like super intensive firing schedules and everything. So they'll probably go Inconel, right? I don't know. It's hard to say. I'll say having a really light titanium rifle silencer can be really great, and it's all about what you need, really. I think I know that DMLS titanium rifle silencers are often pretty durable. I have experience shooting a lot of those. It just depends on the firing schedule, the barrel length, the mount you use, stuff like that. Just note, three-prong mounts will jet cut silencers, dude. And they will jet cut the Inconel blast baffle of a Surefire RC2. I seen it. They will jet cut your silencer if you go ham with them on short barrels. So if you're going super duper ham crazy on short barrel 5.56, I recommend brakes or bird cages. If you're doing 3-prong, if you're doing flash hiders, bird cage, maybe not a 3-prong. Because I will say though, wearing through a blast baffle with a 3-prong, it shouldn't really happen with a good silencer unless you're going super ham with a short barrel. It's just physics, guys. It's just about the loading and the environment, and use your best judgment, okay? And just make sure you get, like, I guess, a reputable quality silencer too. I guess some silencers are made different ways, so there's that. So I hope you all found this informative. I think that this technology, it's really interesting, and I think that these models, the ODB and the WB, I think they're coming out later this month. I don't keep track of all that, but maybe folks will get them and be able to shoot them at their dealers or something. I don't know how that works. If you shoot one, let me know what you think, because I actually don't know a lot of people who have shot them other than me and, like, the company that makes them. They're pretty wild. It's funny because this is topical, because I know some folks shot the PTR stuff that I spoke about last week, the Vent 2. that the latest white paper that's on the website, there was a silencer shooting event in Florida this past weekend. And folks gave me their impressions of the PTR Vent 2 on the MP5 that they shot there. The same as we tested at Pew Science. And they said it was nuts, dude. And it was cool. It was cool to see consumer validation of our data and analysis so soon after that publication. That was cool. It was like so gratifying. I was like, oh man, I'm so glad. Even dealers shot it. And they were like, they told me, they're like, yeah, dude, that was nuts. I was like, cool. So I would ask for this cat stuff. If you shoot it, let me know, dude. Let me know what you think. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. I have been running them. Some of you who know me kind of closer and talking to me, I've been running these silencers. Like I don't post photos because people get mad about it. But whatever, dude. I use what I think is going to work for my guns, so that I like to use. Like I'm not going to apologize for that. So, if you're like emotionally like fragile about, what silencers I put on my guns, well, yeah, well, work on self-improvement, I guess. I don't know. But, I've been running. I actually shot, what day was it? Saturday? Saturday night. Yeah. I was actually shooting this Inconel WB on my 14.5. I was doing a 160 yard steel slow fire practice. It's the white-tailed rut isn't anywhere near happening, so I wasn't gonna hunt. I was hunting. I was getting some hunting stuff set up, but I was taking a little breather for myself. I needed a break, so I was shooting my Mark 23, and I was shooting the WB on the I was shooting the Mark 23 with my Knights Armament can, and I was shooting my 14.5 with this WB, Inconel WB. It was fun. It's definitely fun. So yeah, that's what I was doing. So I have some rounds down it. So far, so good. Seems to do exactly what the data shows it does. So that's cool. I like that. Like, I mean, I told you guys I don't use silencers unless I test them. I'm telling you. So there you go. I practice what I preach. Let's move into topic 3. I hope that helps. Topic 3 at a time of 57 minutes and 5 seconds. Okay, guys. We're making pretty good time. Topic 3. The J Situation podcast is now also on YouTube. That's right. We are also on YouTube Music. Man, Google cannot make up their minds. We received a lot of requests for this, guys. All episodes are available on the J Situation YouTube channel now, and they will be going forward. It was a long time coming. We avoided it for a very long time. Not because we didn't like YouTube necessarily. That's not really why. We avoided it because of risk. Okay? But now the risk is essentially zero, you see. You're like, no way, Jay, how can that be? Well, I'll explain. So what is risk, right? It's the consideration of probability and consequence. Something that is really unlikely to happen, but has terrible consequence, is like you dying in a plane crash, right? Or no, let me repeat that. Something that has like a really low probability, but a really terrible consequence is a plane crash, right? Because like the consequence is like certain death, but the probability is really low because like planes are pretty safe, right? It's like way safer than driving a car. Driving a car is higher risk than flying on an airplane, right? Okay, it's probability and consequence. What's something that's like really high risk? Bungee jumping is really high risk. Why? Well, the consequence, certain death. The probability of a bungee jumping accident is high risk. Why? The probability or the consequence is certain death. Probability, it's higher than a plane crash. Happens way more often, right? Okay, so this YouTube thing. Why am I saying that was like a super low risk for us? Well, the probability of, I don't know, someone just like deleting our YouTube channel due to violations, it's not zero, but it's not that high. It's middle of the road. What's the consequence of it? Nothing. There's no consequence to us. Pew Science and this podcast are autonomous, and the entire effort was designed to be autonomous and not be beholden to any entity, to be completely independent. And at a moment's notice, we can completely burn down everything and rebuild it anywhere in the world. Literally. If something were to nuke everything, Pew Science survives. We're like hyper advanced cockroaches, essentially. Okay, you can't get rid of us, dude. We're like, you cannot get rid of Pew Science. You cannot. It doesn't work. People have tried. You've seen people try. You know how they try, right? You've seen it. You've seen it. You've seen it for years. They try to get rid of Pew Science. They've tried every single thing they can to get rid of us. You can't get rid of us. You can't do it. So I've been looking at the analytics in certain areas of publication and specifically on social media for like this effort as a whole. On the things owned by Meta, like the Facebook and the Instagram, there's something interesting happening. I've noticed. So we certainly interact with a lot of users there on these platforms, and I think there's a really great community. But there's a significant tomfoolery on the platform, and that tomfoolery, it exists in the algorithms, at the program level, and at the user level. There are actually at least 3 levels of problems with Instagram platform that I see for efficient information distribution. Okay? Look, the amount of information distributed by this podcast and this laboratory over the past few years is so significant that having it not proliferate further on social media platform due to these 3 main reasons, these algorithmically, programmatically, and user-based, having those 3 it impede growth, to me, unacceptable. So I'm not one to complain about things and then not do anything about it. Like, that's stupid. Like, you complain about something, then not do anything about it? Well, then you don't have a word for that. It starts with a B, dude. Gonna be a little B, or are you gonna do something about it? Okay, that's for people that all, if you're all talk, be all talk. Cool. We're not all talk. No, everything we do is backed up by research and action. That's right. So rather than fight a losing battle, putting more energy into a platform that could just delete everything we do on it tomorrow, we just decided, we're just going to keep the effort exactly the same because it does a lot of good, and then we'll just see what we can do to branch out as needed. Okay. And we'll look at risk factors. So we look at the Twitter, the X thing. It's decent. We could use it more often. We have 3 accounts there, actually. We got the J Situation, we got Pew Science LLC, which has no posts, and then we have Science Pew, which is, and the reason it's named Science Pew and not Pew Science is because that there's a far left think tank. I don't care what your politics are, but I'm just telling you, there's a far left think tank called Pew Research, and they took Pew Science on Twitter a long time ago. They won't give it to me, so whatever. I beat them in the Google rankings now, but turns out on Twitter they still have that handle, so whatever. Twitter's fine. It's low risk. Another platform with relatively large reach for people that we've researched is YouTube, and it's Google. It's run by Google. I actually remember, and many of you remember this too. Remember when YouTube started? I used YouTube before Google purchased it. Like, YouTube was around before Google. I don't know if you know that, but it's true. It was a long time ago. I was in college, I think. So I have actually given my opinion on YouTube as a platform many times. Back on episode 148, actually, I spoke about the YouTube firearms policy. I spoke about what it entailed, why it matters, why it might not matter. And one thing I did say, and I do recognize, and something I still recognize, is that for overall utility, the YouTube platform itself, I think, can be leveraged to reach large audiences. I think everyone's proven that. There's gun accounts that are very large. I know some of the people who run them, who are very nice people. They're very successful with doing that. It's very, very nice that they've been able to distribute good information about defense technologies to a large amount of people within reason. Again, go to episode 148 if you want to hear my full opinion on all that. I go deeper. The elephant in the room, though, for YouTube publication, for us, has always been control. Generally, it's a very bad idea to give up control of your platform to another entity. Okay? This goes back to being autonomous, right? The nature of Pew Science and also the nature of this podcast. So the YouTube experiment for Pew Science is something we've had in the works for a while, but we were exploring options to minimize risk. And so a couple of days ago, we got lucky. Because what is risk? Risk increases when either probability increases or consequence increases. So how could consequence increase when your probability of getting the channel nuked stay the same? Well, your effort. What if you're putting so much effort into YouTube? And so lost effort is a consequence, potentially, for some people. Yeah? Yeah, okay. Simple. I'm making this simple. So what I was doing, I was like, here's what I'll do. I was like, because people are screaming for YouTube content. Just because they want to, yes, that you guys want videos, but a lot of people just want to listen to the podcast on YouTube. So I was like, okay. So I was exploring a way to pay somebody to convert all of our podcast episodes to videos and then upload them to YouTube. So I was going to do it to satisfy listener requests. It would give us better transcription services from YouTube for the hearing impaired. Let folks use their favorite platform to listen to the podcast and maybe see where it went, dude. Just let it grow, right? Who knows, dude? The big potential was to expose more people to suppress small arms education. That's like really important. And I was about to do it. I was about to sign up for a service, right? I had my credit card out and everything. I was about to pay money. And then I did a couple more Google searches. And sure enough, dude, YouTube has enabled RSS ingestion. And I know you've never heard that phrase before because it's weird. If your YouTube channel meets certain requirements, you can start a podcast on your channel and then feed it your existing RSS feed. Feed it your feed, get it, so to speak. It will literally crawl your feed and do exactly what we're about to pay someone to do it for free, dude. Do it for free. Google just made a move. Google's playing chess, dude. I mean, they're not good at it. Google is not good at podcast chess. Trust me. They lose all the time. Like, they suck. Google's doing away with Google Podcasts. They create products all the time that go away. I think they just like play around. It must be nice to have billions of dollars to play with and use like people's lives as research because that's what they're doing. I mean, they used to have that motto, don't be evil. I don't know if they still have that, but anyway, Google, don't get mad at me. Please don't kill me. So they're doing away with Google Podcasts. That's just a feed reader, right? They aren't interested in maintaining a feed reader like Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever. They're not interested in that, dude. They're Google. Think about it. Ever since Google has existed, what do we know about Google? They data mine, dude. That's all they do. I think sometimes people forget what Google does. Like the whole point of Google. You don't remember? Like, do you remember when Gmail came out? I was in the Gmail beta to get like a Gmail account for the first time. They used to tell you that storage was unlimited forever. Why? They even told you, do not delete anything. When you went to the trash can in your Gmail inbox, and you went to the trash can in your Gmail account, it said, nothing's here. Why delete anything? And it had a little quirky thing there. Why delete anything? You have unlimited storage. Why would you delete something? Like, we were young. We were in college. I think I was in grad school or something. And I was like, what? And then I realized, like, oh my God, they're going to data mine everything. And sure enough, now they make you pay for storage because they're done, dude. They've already done it. They already know how you work. They don't even need your information anymore. You know, they're already done. They've already crawled it all. Now, when you use Gmail to type a message, it's just like AI predicting. They already have the AI models, dude. They don't care. They're done. They have your information. Google already has all of your data mined. They don't need you. That's why they're charging you for storage now. So they can they're moving on to other things, dude. They're like so ahead of where you think they are. Like, they don't care what you write in your little emails, dude. Like, that, they already have that. Like, they already know what you're going to say before you say it. They're past that. So Google, what do they want? They want it all, dude. They want it all. They want everything. What does that mean? Well, it means they literally want to index your brain, dude. Doesn't matter what you write in your emails. They want what's in your brain. They don't want the website. They don't want what car you drive. They don't want how you get to work anymore. They don't want to know what you spoke about with your brother on the phone. They want everything all the time, and they want it now, dude. So what did Google do? Google did the most Google thing they could possibly do. They literally said, okay, podcast, we can't figure out how to do podcasts. Okay, cool. A lot of people listen to audio-only podcasts. Okay, cool. A lot of advertising. Okay. We already have the largest video hosting platform in the world because we bought YouTube and turned it into a monster. It's like the second largest search engine on the internet. It's like Google and then YouTube, which is owned by Google. We'll just absorb podcasts. You get the plays. We get the data. Everyone's happy. That's what they're doing, dude. And so has become the Google Podcast Borg. Sure enough, dude, you put your RSS feed in there, it will process your entire library, and now you have videos. And the interesting part about it is that it will update from the RSS feed. You don't give YouTube ownership. It's the same thing as like, it's the same thing as like if you recorded a video and you uploaded it to YouTube and then you let them play it and then you delete it. If you delete the video, it's gone, right? Like YouTube, they say they don't have it anymore. They probably do. But yeah, so maybe they have it still, but at least they're not broadcasting it. Maybe. I don't know what they're doing after you delete a video, but they actually don't. I read the terms of service. I'm not sure if they actually keep it after they delete it. After you delete it. They can take your stuff down at any time, right? And so they will be able to take down the podcast at any time from their platform. But YouTube taking something down on their platform does not touch our RSS feed. Okay, we host that. So YouTube is not a feed reader. It is a feed ingester. It literally ingests your feed. It creates its own. It clones it, and then it hosts it. So the clone is not the real feed; it's just a clone. So when your feed does something, the clone changes to match it. As long as you don't mess with the clone, don't mess with the clone. It teaches you that in the help file if you read it. So all of you listening will automatically be able to listen to everything through YouTube, which is zero risk to everyone involved. Zero risk to us, zero risk to you. Now, more people will know about silencers. More people will know about Pew Science. You can share the YouTube videos. That's good. The more people that listen, the more potential we have to eventually monetize it. If we end up being able to monetize this, there's the potential to be able to perform more research, to understand where this is going. You see the potential here. This is very important. So I don't know if it's going to work, but it might. So you see where I'm going with this. This is big brain hours. In effect, Google has the potential to fund small arms research. Google, I know your robots are hearing this right now. Let me say that again. Google has the potential to fund small arms research directly, dude. Directly. It's direct funding. This isn't, you see what I mean? This isn't indirect. This would mean, I want you really to hear this. I am telling you, the Google company has the potential to directly fund small arms research. Can we use Google's own algorithms for suppressed small arm weapon research? I think we can. I think that's exactly what we can do. We've already done it on their search engine, dude. Now we'll do it on their video hosting service. We're in Google's walls now. They want it all, don't they? Okay. Google wants all the info, right? Cool. You can have it. You can have it, Google. But guess what? You can only copy our homework. You can't have the originals. We keep those. And we decide how long you get to look at our paper. We can blacklist our entire website from Google and YouTube at any time, just like any website can. Right? You see how this works? Yeah. That's how this works. So consider this to be another tool in the toolbox, okay? Use it. Subscribe to the channel, to the podcast, whatever you need to do. People are saying, "Oh, you should go to Rumble." Like, no. Rumble? Why would I go to Rumble? No one uses that. Billions of people use YouTube. Go to YouTube. Use YouTube against itself. Educate with it. Weaponize it. What? You don't want to weaponize? You don't want to weaponize an enemy's weapon against them? What? Why not? Use it. The YouTube channel is called The J Situation. It's just like the podcast name. It's easy to find. There's links on the website right now. pewscience.com/podcast. There's links on the website right now. I put them on there. In less than 24 hours since I started this, the analytics, I was watching the watch time, and I was like, what? Folks are finding these podcast episodes that have never seen Pew Science. Okay? They don't even know what this is, and they're finding it. I'm telling you, this is literally a great tool for education. Spread this far and wide. What a time to be alive, dude. This episode should be on there, I think. I'm recording this now. It's the night of November 7th. I'm gonna have it auto-published tonight, so maybe tomorrow morning it'll be on YouTube already. It'll be great if it is. If it works like that, that'll be great. If it is on YouTube when you listen to this, go to it and like it, comment, and do all the YouTube stuff. Where it could be cool. I don't know how to do that. We could have cool YouTube comment sections where people like talk about stuff and they talk like, I grant them, like, no, I don't know. I don't think it's gonna get like that, but nonetheless, it's like another way to interact. It has. I noticed the YouTube channel has a thing where you can do polls. And like multiple choice quizzes or something like and that looks like they won't disappear, or I'm not sure. I haven't done one yet. So man, we could use that. What if we could like vote on testing? I don't know. It's cool, right? Like we could do it on there instead of the website, or maybe we should do it on the website. I don't know. Let's slow our roll. We don't get ahead of ourselves, but I'm telling you, there's some potential here. I think I put one of my Mark 23 videos on there, like a little. I had on Instagram, so it's uploaded to YouTube Short, put that on there. That's cool. So yeah, maybe I could put little videos in there. I don't know. I'm not going to put, again, this is low effort, right? It's low effort. Why? This is automatic from RSS feed. So I don't want this to take resources away from Pew Science. I want this to just spread the word more so more people can be helped. And then that can help Pew Science more. And then it snowballs, right? Right? Use Google for good. Maybe we can take the motto of don't be evil and actually use that for Google and make them not be evil. That way, maybe they'll end up liking silencers. And the next thing you know, there's going to be silencers at Google, and Google will have like a huge like silencer research facility. We could turn the tide. I think we could. That's all for today, folks. If you enjoyed this episode, if you enjoyed the podcast, if you enjoyed the articles, if you enjoy the testing, and you want to support all of this, please consider joining with a membership at pewscience.com. And if not, and you can't do that, it's okay. Spread the word. Subscribe to the podcast, the YouTube channel, share with people. It'll be great. We'll be back next week with more data, more analysis. And I just ask that you stay safe out there, and I'll talk with you folks again soon. All right, bye.